In this video, I'm going to introduce you to a cue that's going to change the way you think about the brace. So, as you guys know, I'm on this 30-day X-Step challenge, and lately I've been figuring out a lot, trying a bunch of different cues, and I wanted to introduce you guys into something that I've been trying and having some success with. So whenever I try or put out a video on any cues, I make sure I talk to a bunch of coaches in the space, some really good, some popular, well-known coaches, run the ideas by them, make sure that they are sound. I also usually get a pilot group together of, 5 60 to 65 mile per hour throwers that I give the cue to beforehand, privately, have them test it, give me their thoughts, send me their videos, so I can review and make sure it's not something that just works for me and something that's going to be useful for all of you. So I'm not just putting out BS that I stumble upon. I am trying my best to vet it and make sure it works for the majority of people before I give it to you guys. So the main topic of this video is going to be braking forces. So in disc golf, we don't really have a ton of science and data yet on exactly what's going on in the throw and what the sequencing is and what muscles are working when and where the force is going and yada yada. But we have another sport pretty close to ours where you have to make the hand go fast called golf that they do have all of this. So this originally started from overthrows, basically gaze back throw. So if you look at their Instagram, if you want, there's basically a short or a reel that tells you to look backwards and throw over your own shoulder, right? So demonstrate that for you guys. It looks like this. Look backwards. And throw over your own shoulder. Now, when you do this, make sure you don't crank your neck, okay? It's very important that you don't keep your gaze so locked backwards that when your shoulders turn, which they will, you cannot completely stop them, it doesn't yank your neck around and hurt your muscles in your neck, okay? So it's going to be a loose gaze. You're going to keep your gaze backwards, but you're going to let it go a little bit when the back shoulder comes in. I want to make sure I make that clear because you can hurt your neck doing that if you're just locked behind you, keeping everything really tense, and just jerk everything around. You can definitely mess up your trap or your neck muscles. So that is a cue on head position, okay? I think that head position is one of the most misunderstood things that people cue. So a lot of you guys have commented and a lot of you guys have been told, I'm sure in lessons, you need to keep your head still basically, right? So you reach back and then when you swing, your head, right, basically stabilizes and only gets pulled forward by the back shoulder, usually after the disc is gone. It's not the easiest thing in the world to do, and I'm sure that a lot of you guys have tried it and not been able to succeed doing it. But I think the more important thing is, what is that causing, right? So what is keeping your head still or looking backwards causing in your body? Well, it's causing you to have to break your rotation, okay? Big thing in golf is the kinematic sequence. So basically it's like the order that your body needs to rotate and how much. And one of the big things about it is the piece below needs to slow down before the piece above can accelerate to like maximum force. So basically your hips like lock in and turn, and then they start slowing down when your torso turns, and then it starts slowing down when your shoulders turn, right? So by keeping your head in a single position, right, what you're doing is you're telling your body, right, don't just spin my shoulders around like crazy or you're going to hurt my neck, okay? So you're basically like subconsciously causing your body to break torso rotation. So I took this a step further and I started trying some drills that I'm going to tell you guys about, where basically the whole concept is breaking your torso rotation. And what I found was extremely interesting, and what I saw when I gave this cue to other students is it caused a lot of things that I didn't expect. So we're going to go over that now. Basically, my issue was the more leg power I added, the more I collapsed no matter what I did, right? So I would have the disc up, elbow down look, right, in my throw, just like all of you do in all like the videos you guys send where you're asking for help. I had the same look, the more leg power added. My arm or my body was incapable of keeping my arm like integrity while adding so much rotation with the hips. So I was brainstorming ways to get around this. Tried this head back drill, and one of the things that I figured out was you can throw really freaking hard, rotating very little. Okay, so this is kind of what they say when they talk about linear versus rotational throwing. I'm a very rotational thrower, both in my standstill and my like high power X step. Then you have other people that are very linear throwing. I think David Wiggins is probably the best example, right? His hand is like in Narnia over here, while his torso and shoulders are like perpendicular to the target, and he's only open like 10 degrees when the disc is released. Right, very linear. He's not spinning to throw the disc. So let's just go over the drill first, and I want all of you guys to try this drill. I think it is, whether it does or doesn't become part of your final form, right? It is super eye-opening just to try it and see what it does to your throw and feel how it feels. Okay? So what is the throw? What is the drill? So you can execute this drill standstill or X-step. Both are pretty easy to do. So the concept is, what I'm going to do is, I'm going to throw like normal, right? I'm going to reach back, and I'm going to pull and start my rotation. Okay? And then right when my shoulders get square to this camera or perpendicular to the target line, my entire goal is going to be to stop my shoulders. Okay? It sounds weird. Obviously, you'd think that that would make you throw slower, right? I'm stopping rotation. It doesn't. Okay? So how's it going to look? It's going to be reach back, start my throw, like weight shift, start my throw, and then as soon as I get square here, I'm going to use every muscle and force in my body to stop this rear shoulder from coming in anymore. Okay? So what's going to happen is your off arm is going to try to help you. It's going to go backwards. Right? Your off leg is going to try to help you. It's going to go backwards. And you're going to see this position that you end up in is really familiar. It looks a lot like what you see pro players doing with their legs. And you can get it by just cueing this one simple thing. Okay? This cue, I feel like, has been the most surprising cue I've ever used with people in getting them to brace well. So this front leg extends, this back leg goes back, this back arm comes in, and it all happens like subconsciously. You don't have to think about bracing. You just have to do it because it is a necessity when you use this cue. Okay, you have to have ground forces. You have to have a stable base. You have to have rigidity in your torso. Right. This is one of the things that I think a lot of you are given cues about and you don't really understand is when you brace. Right. If your torso isn't rigid and you fall over the top of your brace, right, you're not going to be able to use that in your arm. But when you think about keeping your back shoulder back, you have to flex everything, get rigid, and use these ground forces to stop, because this wants to come in really badly. So if you want to keep it back even at all, you're going to have to do all the things that you're actually supposed to do in the disc golf backhand. I will give you guys a few examples of what this looks like right now. So what we're going to do is we're going to set up in our normal position. We'll do this standstill first. So we're going to throw exactly like we normally would, nice and hard. But as soon as my head gets to this camera and my shoulders get, boom, square on this camera, I'm going to use every muscle in my body to try to stop my rotation. Okay? The point is, you will see my front leg get straight, my torso gets rigid, my rear arm wants to come close to my body, right? I don't have to force my off arm in, I don't have to force the counterweight, I don't have to force the extension of the front leg. Everything wants to do that because it's the only way for me to stop rotation, break my torso and shoulder rotation, right? Which allows me to get the disc farther in before it comes through and rotates. Okay, so this is how you get a deep pocket with a lot of leg power. You need to have some amount of braking forces. Now, this is just a drill. Okay, you don't need to be breaking all rotation as soon as you get here and never letting it come through. First of all, it's going to blow through no matter what you do. No matter how much you try to stop rotation, it will eventually go. But you will have more time to get the disc forward into a mechanically advantaged position before it goes. Okay. So I want you guys to try this drill. I want you to experiment with what it feels like to not rotate in the disc golf throw, okay? And what happens to your leg, what happens to your body, what happens to your off arm, what happens to your head. All of these cues that you guys are being given, keep the head still, tuck the off arm in, right? Counterweight the back leg, extend the front leg. All of these cues can be solved with a simple cue, right? And in your final throw, it's not going to be total braking focused. But once you learn how to do this, once you teach your body that stopping rotation for at least a short period of time, or slowing down rotation, I should say, is going to allow you to use your brace more effectively, get the arm farther ahead, and you're going to find that your speeds do not go down. I've coached multiple people on this already, and I've seen speed increases on the first day, okay? So this cue isn't just like a feeling thing, it's also, it works, okay? The other thing that it really, really helps with is having a stable base to create a hit point from. So when you stop everything and brace your backside, right, you'll notice that your front foot does not spin early, okay? It stays in place until the disc leaves and then starts spinning. This is one of the things that another thing I was so surprised when I started using this cue. People who spin around their brace and just have a pretty poor throw in general instantly started bracing better, having a more stable front leg, right, getting a little bit deeper, all of these things. So I really want you guys to take this cue and run with it. In the comments, please try this and leave a comment. How does it feel to you? What does it affect? Are you already doing this in your throw? Okay? And if you're not, like, did it increase your speed? How much braking did you figure out that you needed to use? All of these questions, right? I know this feels right, but I want to see how you guys feel it. I want to hear how you guys kind of experiment with it and how eye-opening it is to how to use the brace effectively. It's not just for stopping your momentum forward, right? It's also for stabilizing everything so that you can actually pull hard, basically sat still in space, okay? And you will notice if you go look at pro videos, a lot of times in super slow-mo, it looks like they're just waiting, right? It doesn't look like they're just pulling with all their might. A lot of them, Simon, AB, like a bunch of the bigger names, it looks like as soon as they go into their brace and start pulling, their head is just waiting for their arm, right? I think this is them stabilizing everything and boom, stopping rotation for a second so the arm can go ahead of everything else. And then once it gets up here, everything comes through, and it's like charging up all of the rotation of your throw into one single point, okay? I hope this all made sense. I hope I explained everything correctly. And yeah, if I didn't, leave a comment down below. Tell me where I was wrong. Thanks a lot, guys, and peace.